this on? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I hope everyone got some sleep, a little bit, maybe. You know, because we need you to get high energy, because today is the day you actually become part of the program. So I hope everyone has signed up for David's leadership roundtables. They're going to be really extraordinary and useful for all of you. And we do know who signed up, so if you didn't, I will come and find you. Just saying, if you didn't, there's an opportunity at the break to do that. Meanwhile, before we start, I wanted to just thank the whole New York Times Live team, Dorothea Harry and Chris Kang, and Louise Hunter of Summer House Media for helping put on such an extraordinary event. As anyone who was here last night knows, this room did not look exactly the same less than 12 hours ago. So they have really put in a superhuman effort to make sure this runs smoothly. Can we all give them a round of applause, please? Now, you may notice that, like the room, I look kind of the same as I did yesterday, same jacket. I actually did wonder if, given this audience, that would be a faux pas, but then I decided that all my male colleagues get to wear the same suits, and therefore I was going to go with it. You know, it's the way history is going, right? Besides, I was busy thinking about the extraordinary concert that we got to see yesterday, instead of what exactly I was going to wear. I don't think I'll ever look at the back of a conductor's head in exactly the same way again, now that I know what's going on in the front. To me, that's really what luxury is about. You know, getting to peek behind the scenes and have a truly extraordinary experience. Which brings me to the program and our first speaker. I'm very happy to introduce José Neves, the founder of Farfetch. Hi.
Hi, Vanessa.
Now, I understand you were here yesterday afternoon when Ian Rogers effectively threw down the gauntlet and said that your IPO, when you suddenly arrived at a $6 billion valuation, was the starting bell for a new arms race online. Do you think that's true?
Well, I think he was very kind to us, and I thanked him for the couple of slides. It was very flattering. No, I think it was definitely great for our team. It was, you know, we've been working 10 years in building this platform. Everyone has stock in our company, every single person. We call it Farfetch for all. So
every employee.
Every employee, yeah. And it was, you know, what I call chapter 1, which was the building of a strong foundation, both from a technology perspective, relationships with the brands, with the boutiques, 1.2 million active customers. But now we open to chapter 2, and there's so much to do in this industry, not just in terms of expansion of the business, and Ian mentioned yesterday there's an incremental 100 billion opportunity just in online luxury, but also in solving the problems of the industry. And I love this industry. I've been in the industry for 25 years. I was a shoe designer, I was a boutique owner, and I love creating software, and I think it can definitely be, technology can be a positive force for the industry.
But I mean, do you agree that you essentially profited from finding a gap in the market when the brands were too scared of e-commerce to really go online, and that now they're sort of rushing to catch up? But are you threatened by that at all, or do you think there's room for all of you?
Not threatened at all. I think, you know, we started in 2008. At that point, selling high-end fashion online was kind of a heresy. And Nathalie Massenet, our co-chairman, paved the way for the rest of us, really, and demonstrating that with Net-a-Porter that you know, consumers will buy high-end fashion online. But the idea of a platform was completely alien to the industry. I mean, selling online was already taboo selling via a platform was very new, was very revolutionary at the time. And we started with the boutiques, and eventually we proved to the brands that we understand the industry. We do this for a deep love of fashion and the belief that technology can be a positive force for this industry. And I think that started to resonate, and we're partners to the brands. We're a tech business. We don't buy any stock except Browns. We own one of the boutiques. We're a technology partner for the brands. So I think the brands wanting to come online, it's fantastic news for us.
I mean, yesterday Mike Evans said that he loves competition, that you learn from competition. What have you learned from your competition?
I think we learn every day, and not just from fashion, and not just from fashion, from other platforms like Airbnb and Uber and Spotify, that people that are completely changing the way entire industries operate. And in the case of Spotify, for example, facing the initial resistance of the music industry, but ultimately proving that for the first time in many years, the music revenues are growing again. And we take inspiration from everyone, really.
Now, you've partnered with JD.com. Your rival Net-a-Porter has partnered with Alibaba. Do you really see this sort of world breaking down into these two, certainly the world and China breaking down into these two giant groups, and everyone has to be part of that?
I think in China there's definitely there's the Tencent, JD.com family, and there's the Alibaba family, and obviously you have Baidu and you have other companies, and they are, there is a fight for market share. And at the time we found that the combination of Tencent and JD.com, and we very much continue to be big believers that was absolutely the right decision for us, was right for our business. I think.
Why though?
Because I think WeChat is the platform for the luxury industry. Is what Instagram is in the West, WeChat is in China, absolutely, and even more powerful so, because WeChat is the same thing as if you add Instagram and PayPal and the Apple the App Store. I mean, WeChat mini programs have now reached 1 million. There are 2 million iOS apps. So in a short period of time, they have as many apps, half as many apps in their platform as Apple over 10 years. And they've created an amazing ecosystem. So for me, from a perspective of a brand, the platform, the first and foremost platform for your direct presence as a brand in China is WeChat. And obviously you need to have your .cn, your app, your presence in, potentially presence in marketplaces, hopefully Farfetch. But I think that ecosystem is really powerful.
I mean, what exactly has it meant for your brand? Because you just reported your first results. Can you actually measure what it's done?
Yes. So the APAC region is around 35% of our sales, growing very fast. China is by far the largest market in the region. We've been in China for 3 years. We have 360 people in China. We have an office in Shanghai, Beijing, here in Hong Kong. We've just launched our China iOS app. Before, it used to be like most companies, it used to be the global app translated in Chinese. Now it's created by a team of 80 engineers in China. They're Farfetchers, which allows us to iterate much faster and have much better conversion rates. We've acquired a company called Curiosity China, and they're experts on WeChat, and they're powering the WeChat presence for brands such as Moncler, such as the Kering Group, and many others. So we've really created what is the gateway to China for a brand. We do cross-border We also do domestic China-to-China delivery on top of JD Logistics platform. Farfetch as a marketplace has 250,000 SKUs, 3,000 brands available to a Chinese consumer anywhere in China with 3.5 days of average lead time, plus the domestic delivery, plus the white label direct-to-consumer presence with the brand. So it's a complete ecosystem that it was a lot of work, big investment that we've made, but it's definitely paying off.
There's been a lot of talk over the last day about the potential of a U.S.-China trade war or a growing trade war. Would that affect you in any way? Do you have any concerns about that?
Not really in terms of our business, because 90% of our cross-border business into China comes from Europe. So there's very little U.S.-China trade for us. I think people have exaggerated a little bit. They've been a bit overly cautious with the macro. Certain things that happened in the past few months, like for example the crackdown on Daigous, that's fantastic for us. That's fantastic. The less gray market, the more legitimate channels will benefit, and it's great for the brands. So I think the financial markets got a little bit ahead of themselves, a little bit too pessimistic. And if there is a macro headwind, which is still to be proven, there's such a gravity pull from offline to online that tailwind is definitely stronger.
So you haven't noticed any softening of the economy affecting you?
No, we haven't.
What about Brexit? Does Brexit have it? Because you are headquartered in London.
Brexit for us, again, in terms of trading, no big deal, because the UK market is relatively small for us. In any case, the brands would very quickly adjust as they adjust currencies and all of that, so I don't think that will have an impact. It's more people and talent. In London, we have 26 nationalities. I'm continental European and Portuguese. So what will happen if hiring those continental Europeans, which are big part of our workforce, becomes more difficult? I think London loses a lot in terms of talent, and this is my main concern in terms of Brexit.
You're being very optimistic. I keep trying to find a problem. It's not,
if I wasn't optimistic, I wouldn't be an entrepreneur, right?
But speaking of JD.com, the founder has been involved in some potential issues in the United States. Is that going to impact you at all?
I think it's obviously a matter under investigation, and as such, we don't offer any commentary.
Do you see a potential future where Amazon could be anything like Alibaba and JD.com? Why have they managed to work with luxury brands in China, whereas in America the giant e-commerce can't?
I think there are several things at play. I think the DNAs of the company are very different. If one reads Jeff Bezos' original letter, he says, "I will always pass the lowest prices possible to my consumers. I will be the most consumer-centric company on earth." And I think the DNA is therefore very incompatible with luxury, because luxury is not about passing the lowest prices, the highest levels of discount to customers, right? So I think the other thing is the necessity that brands have to penetrate China effectively. They don't have that need in the US. They have their own e-commerce. They have big wholesale department stores that are strong online, other platforms, etc. So I think there's and the willingness of the Chinese platforms to embrace luxury is much stronger. They've done many concessions that I'm not sure Amazon would be willing to do.
So you don't see a future. I understand that they're on a big push into fashion, but you don't see a future where that's going to be successful?
Amazon is very successful in fashion, but more convenience fashion, more socks and underwear. Yeah, no, I think you know, if you look at what Amazon is doing, they're going after India, they're going after, you know, groceries, they're going after categories that are actually multi-trillion categories. I think they see luxury as probably a cherry on top of the cake, and they're probably busy with other stuff. But you know, you always need to be vigilant, because they are an amazing company and they execute very, very well. So let's see.
All right, speaking of other categories, what's next for you? Given that that's the theme of this conference, what's next? You know, are you going to expand into, I don't know, other areas of luxury? Where is your growth going to come from?
So we're very focused first on growing our international business. We obviously in China we've done a big investment, and we will continue to invest in this market. But we also have a presence in Japan. We have a Korean website. We have a presence in Russia, in Brazil and Latin America. In the Middle East, we've just signed with Chalou Group and launched an Arabic website just this year. So that international presence is very important for us, because that's how luxury thinks. If you're a luxury brand, you think globally. So if we want to add value as a partner to luxury companies, we should be a truly global company. So that's definitely a continued area of investment. We have categories that we have only just started: fine watches, fine jewelry. Kids is 1.5 years, so still young. And before we develop those sufficiently, we'll pause for breath a little bit, I think.
So I shouldn't expect furniture or travel or anything too soon?
I don't think so. I don't. It's if you look at the size of the market, this is a $300 billion industry, personal luxury goods. 10 years will be 500 billion. If you look at the online penetration, 9% today, could be 25%, could be 20, could be 30. Whichever way you take it, in 10 years, it will be an incremental 100 billion industry. And we're laser focused on capturing as much market share of that growth as possible.
How much market share do you think you can get?
We're an ambitious company, but we don't make that kind. I mean, we go as fast as we can. We're growing faster than the market. For us, that's really important. It proves that what we do is resonating with consumers, that our customers love our apps, our sites, the merchandise we make available. We have 100% seller retention, both on boutiques and brands, which means that we are providing services that add value to their businesses, and the rest will sort itself out.
Okay, I have one more question, and then we'll open it to the floor, and you guys will start exercising your voices in anticipation of the leadership roundtables, because you want to warm up your throats. Are you profitable?
No, we are not profitable, although we are very profitable on a unit economics basis, which is a very cryptic thing for the general public, but not for investors. So if you look at what the 8 analysts that initiated coverage about Farfetch, what they report, and what investors in Wall Street talk about, it's very clear that our customers and on a unit economics basis, the business is very profitable. But we're in a phase of investment. We should not be profitable at this point in time. That's our belief, and that's how we're running the business.
Can you make an estimation about when you will be?
We don't make that estimation. No.
Okay, I'll let you out of that one. Okay, questions from the floor? Yo. Okay, actually, why don't we give it to Alex first here, and then we'll go in the middle.
Good morning. My name's Alex Bolin. I'm with Oscar de la Renta. We, as a brand, are on your platform. We've had a very good year this year, nice growth. Thank you for that. Having said that, we increasingly feel a tension between Farfetch's relationship with us directly as a brand and Farfetch's relationship with wholesalers. Do you think that at some point Farfetch is going to have to pick a direction?
I think,
good question.
Yeah, definitely, great question. Thank you for your business, by the way, and for your trust. I think, it's really important we find a balance and we support the boutiques and the wholesale channel. I really think boutiques are an integral part of the ecosystem in fashion. And for me, one of the most exciting brands of the moment is Off-White. They've started as a pure wholesale brand, picked up by one boutique in Italy called Antonioli, who then became partners with them in terms of distribution and showroom, etc. And it was the community of boutiques that created that brand. That brand now is one of our top 10 sellers on Farfetch, and Virgil obviously went on to be one of the, a creative director at Louis Vuitton. So without the boutiques, we lose an essential part of the ecosystem. And the boutiques, we're now, on average, moving 30% of their sales. So they need the multi-channel approach. It's impossible to support economically their businesses without this exposure to the internet. Having said that, we need to find precisely that balance where boutiques and brands can live happily, and I think we've done that to a large extent, with obviously lots of things to improve. But if we look at the last 3 years, we've added 300 brands to the platform. We have 600 boutiques. We have around 98% retention on both boutiques and brands in the last 3 years. So we are managing that balance, but of course it's a constant juggling act.
May I just follow up? Just markdowns.
Quickly.
This is the great promise of platforms for a brand like ours is all of our frustrations with wholesale, in theory, are avoided by working with you on a platform. Yet, and this is especially top of mind this week in the United States, as our wholesale partners start to go on markdown, we start to feel some of the same problems on Farfetch. And I hope that you will consider this problem.
Absolutely. On that, I started in fashion 25 years ago, and I remember the times when markdown started at Christmas, or after Christmas, and I wish we could go, back to those days. And I think, the markdown cycle started with the global financial crisis of 2008, 2009, where with American department stores having to shift their inventory, and since then we've never recovered. And I wish, and it will have to come from the brands, that the brands, when they manage their wholesale activities, really convince their main wholesale partners to a markdown cadence that is much more beneficial to the industry. We are, both because we have the brands directly on the platform and because of our model, we charge 30% commission on sales. We're fundamentally, with that kind of model, we will never be a markdown, an attractive markdown territory, right? Because why markdown and then pay Farfetch 30% on top? You may as well, sell it to friends and family in your shop. So we definitely want to be a positive force to eradicate this trend towards early markdowns. But I think we need the help from the brands to really bring the large wholesale accounts into that cadence. And from the conversations we've been having with the brands, I'm positive about that movement.
I don't know, I feel like that's a whole other conference, how you get that genie back in the bottle. Okay, one last question in the front. I'm sorry, we'll have to grab him afterwards.
I'll try to be quick. It's a little bit related to your question, so thank you for that. Ian Rogers spoke yesterday about market for one and how brands need to rethink to go where the consumers are in terms of where they should begin their journey. So I was wondering, traditionally brands seem to be a bit hesitant and they really want to control, the online experience, and we hear a bit of frustration in the room today. So I was wondering, do you see any changes? Are brands opening up? Are they considering working with you more? And how do you see that in the future? Could you eventually work with some of those brands from the bigger groups? Could you feature some of the LVMH brands, for example?
We do feature LVMH brands. We have Fendi on the platform, we have Tag Heuer on the platform, we have Emilio Pucci, we have Nicholas Kirkwood, etc. We have a number of LVMH brands on the platform. I think, to me, it's very simple. There will be a mono-brand way of shopping, and there will be a multi-brand way of shopping, like in the physical world, right? So Fifth Avenue, the brands have their own flagship stores, but they're still in Barney's, they're in Bergdorf Goodman, they're in Saks. Because that's the way the consumer behaves. Sometimes the consumer will go mono-brand, sometimes the consumer will go multi-brand. Actually, on the internet, that's exacerbated because no one is going to download. We have 3,000 designers on our platform. We have 300 direct brands. No one is going to download 300 apps or open dozens of tabs on the browser. So on the internet, that multi-brand behavior is actually even exacerbated. So the brands need their mono-brand channels, and we operate a white label business called Black and White, where we power around 12 brands now. But they will also need multi-brand environments, and there are some great companies providing those multi-brand environments. What Farfetch does is provide that multi-brand environment in a concession business model, where the brand, when directly on Farfetch, it's your inventory, it's your price, it's your geo price, it's your merchandise mix, and it's a direct-to-consumer sale. And that's where Farfetch is different from all the other multi-brand luxury destinations.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Jose. We're out of time.